What's going on, guys? This is Jake at That Fit Friend, and today we are going to be reviewing the Under Armour TriBase Reign 4. Now, I'll also be comparing these to the 3 and the 4 Pro in this video. Everything's timestamped down below. Jump around as you need, and I also have a written review down there in the description to check out. So 3 pros with this model is number 1, I am stoked that Under Armour used a separate tongue construction in this model, and they made the shoe a little bit wider. With that separate tongue construction, we have a slightly higher volume in the forefoot and midfoot in this shoe, which I think helps those with thicker feet or those who want like more volume in their shoe or use their own inserts or orthotics. And the slightly wider width now gives a wider range of foot anatomies a more comfortable feel in the shoe. In the 3, 2, and the original Reign, one of my main gripes has always been the midfoot feels super narrow, so I'm super stoked to see that they made the shoe a little bit wider compared to previous models. The second pro is that this is a good shoe for cross training and CrossFit and a little bit of all around training. So with that 2mm heel to toe drop in this model and the micro G foam midsole and TriBase tech on the outsole, the shoe does a pretty good job when it comes to providing you with stability under different weights and different exercises and providing you with a nice blend of versatility. Like, this is a pretty stable cross training shoe, so it may not be your best bet for a ton of plyometrics or for running, but for cross training and CrossFit, I do think this shoe does a really good job, and I would categorize it as like a pretty good all-around training shoe for anybody who does a little bit of everything on a weekly basis, and if you prefer having a lower heel to toe drop in your shoe. The third pro with this model is I like the reworked upper construction. So I like that it has a layered mesh. It breathes pretty dang well. And truthfully, like, I like this model better than the 4 Pro, and I'll talk about that later. But I think the upper in this shoe is a hit, especially with that reworked tongue construction and with the wider width. The shoe does a really good job, I think, across the board for providing you with a nice level of breathability in a bunch of different training contexts. So those are the pros with this model. I think this is definitely one of the best Reign models to date, if not the best. But now let's talk about a couple of cons I have with this shoe. So 2 potential cons I could see folks having with the TriBase Reign 4 is number 1, if you train a lot outdoors, I would say pay attention to the forefoot grooves up here to make sure they're not breaking down too soon from friction on things like concrete, especially if you're doing a lot of side-to-side or multi-directional activity. The grooves in this model are thicker than previous Reign models, and if you're training indoors, I don't think that's going to be a concern, or this won't be a durability concern for you. But if you train outdoors a lot, definitely keep an eye on this exposed midsole to make sure it's not breaking down too soon. The second potential con is that the shoe does have a slightly thicker midsole than the previous Reign models, so it does feel a little bit thick and clunky at times. Like, if you like a very low to the ground and low profile shoe, then the midsole in the shoe may be a turnoff for you. It doesn't really impact performance, but it's one of those things where it's like, if you like having that more low to the ground feeling, you will probably notice that this midsole does feel a little bit thick and blocky at times. To discuss the performance of the TriBase Reign 4, I'm going to break this section to a few different parts. We'll talk about lifting, versatile training, shorter runs, and then daily wear. In the context of lifting, this shoe has done exceptionally well. The micro G foam midsole, despite being slightly thicker than previous Reign models, doesn't really have a ton of compression going on under different weights. And if you're squatting, lunging, tackling cleans, doing deadlifts, whatever, this model isn't going to be, I think, a shoe that compresses really easily under different loads. So for lifting, I do like that. I also like the full rubber outsole and the TriBase tech. It gives you a lot of grip. So if you're using these in the gym on rubber gym floors or wooden platforms or using these on machines, you should get a good amount of traction with the shoe. So in the context of lifting, this model does a really good job. And if you like having a lower heel to toe drop, the shoe does have a 2mm drop, so it will give you that slightly flatter foot positioning. So I think that could be a hit for those who like having a lower drop in their cross training shoes. When it comes to versatile training, the shoe did a pretty good job. The forefoot grooves up here add a nice level of maneuverability in the toe box, despite the midsole being slightly thicker in this shoe. So I do like that feature. It helps you break in this model a little bit faster. The shoe broke in like after 2 to 3 workouts, especially with like plyometrics and other activities where I'm doing a lot of multi-directional work. Now, when it comes to the overall weight, I do wish this model was a little bit lighter. However, I don't think the weight is going to be a huge turnoff for a lot of folks who are just using these casually for HIIT or doing some versatile training here and there or more athletic focused work. So overall, the shoe does a really good job with athletic focused work. The full rubber outsole once again provides a nice level of traction, and that breathable mesh I think feeds really well into this style of training. For shorter runs, this shoe will be an okay bet. Like, if you have runs programmed in your WODs, or if you just plan to do like maybe a mile or 2 after or before your workout, this shoe will work. Is it going to be the most comfortable shoe? Probably not. However, if you do want a shoe just for shorter runs, especially if you're doing faster paced tempo work in your athletic focus training or your WODs, then this shoe will be fine for that ask and need. For daily wear, this shoe also works really well. What I would say though is just pay attention to the forefoot up here, especially if you're wearing these on a daily wear basis and it's raining or it's muddy, etc. Just watch this foam up here. Make sure you're not getting this super dirty or you're letting water like kind of soak into this foam, because that could break it down a little bit faster. But overall, I do like the appearance and aesthetic of this model, especially for daily wear. They look, I think, better than the previous Reign models. So in the context of daily wear, the regular Reign 4 is a good model. So now let's answer the question, who is the TriBase Reign 4 best for? So I think if you are a CrossFit or cross-training focused athlete and you need a shoe that provides a good amount of stability but also some versatility, and you like having a lower heel to toe drop, this model has a 2mm drop, then the shoe is good to look into. It provides you with a nice flat foot position, and in the context of cross-training and CrossFit, the shoe does an exceptional job. So when it comes to sizing and fit, I think most lifters and athletes will be safe going true to size in the TriBase Reign 4. This shoe is slightly wider than the 3, the 2, and the original Reign, and we have that separate tongue construction, which gives the shoe a little bit more volume in the midfoot and forefoot. So that being said, I think this shoe will work for a wider range of foot anatomies, whereas the 3, 2, and original Reign were a little bit limited due to the volume and their width. So when it comes to price in the TriBase Reign 4, you can expect to pay $120 USD, and this is consistent with other TriBase Reign models. Now, that being said, if you can find the 2 or 3 with a really good deal and you're not necessarily worried about the latest and greatest when it comes to this model and having a slightly wider last to your shoe, then the 2 and 3 are also solid shoes to look into. And if your budget is a concern, then it's definitely worth looking into them to save some money. So when it comes to the weight, heel to toe drop, and insole in the TriBase Reign 4, for my size 10 model here, we have a weight of 13.05 ounces. This shoe has a 2mm heel to toe drop, and it does have a removable insole. All right, so now let's go over the construction of the TriBase Reign 4. Up here on the toe box, we have an extended outsole that wraps up. I like that for durability. Then we have a little bit of extra material here to extend any form of durability breakdown that we'd be having from abrasion or toe dragging movement. So I do like that. We have a layered mesh throughout the forefoot and midfoot. We have a bit more of a thicker material back here on the boot. We have a heel counter back here. And then we have 5 core eyelets that go up with a 6 back here for lace lock. We have that separate tongue construction as mentioned before. I haven't had any issues with the tongue kind of rolling in, and that's due to the strap right here. So I do like that they put a little loop in this tongue, because otherwise I could see this tongue being problematic for some folks, especially in side to side movement. We have a micro G foam midsole throughout the midsole here, and we also have an extended outsole layers here on the medial and lateral side for rope climb support. On the outsole itself, we have a full rubber tread. We have the TriBase Tech right here, and we have some deep forefoot grooves, which once again help the shoe feel a little bit more maneuverable since the midsole is slightly thicker. The width is a bit wider in the shoe as a whole. The heel back here has a little bit of a lip, which I actually think feeds really well into why this model feels okay for shorter runs and for walking and daily wear purposes. The boot here extends up a little bit, and then once again, we do have a removable insole in this model, but overall, those are the main construction features of the TriBase Reign 4. If you have any additional questions, hit me in the comments below. All right, so now let's compare the Reign 4 to the Reign 4 Pro. The Reign 4 costs $120 USD, the Reign 4 Pro costs $150 USD. So is this shoe worth an additional $30? So 3 major differences between these shoes include, number 1, their upper constructions. So over here on the Reign 4, we have that layered mesh throughout, and then on the Reign 4 Pro, we have a layered mesh with a haptic overlay. It feels very similar to what the Reign 3 offered, especially through the toe box and midfoot. And then we have an external cage here for additional midfoot support, and the heel counter back here is a little bit higher. The second major difference is that the 4 Pro has a booty style construction. So similar to the Reign 3, this has a booty style construction, and honestly, like with the haptic overlay and this booty style construction, the shoe does feel very similar to the 3, to be quite honest. The 4 Pro has the separate tongue construction once again. The third difference between these shoes, and this is something that I thought was really interesting, in the Reign 4, once again, we have a weight of 13.05 ounces, 13.10 ounces, and then in the Reign 4 Pro, we have a weight of 13.7 ounces. So that was something that's very interesting, and for most folks, I don't think the weight difference will be a huge issue, especially for performance, but if you're gonna be paying a premium for a product, I would expect it to be a lot better in every field and not just a few. So like, I'm not sold that paying $30 more for this upper construction and the booty style construction is worth it in the shoe. And if I can inject a little bit of opinion here, I don't like the appearance of this shoe at all. It looks like I'm gonna be wearing these to laser tag or a rave. So maybe if they came out with a better colorway, I would like them a little bit better. But overall, if you're debating between the Reign 4 Pro and the Reign 4, I would say save your money, go with the Reign 4. I think it's a better shoe overall, but maybe if they come out with a new colorway, the Reign 4 Pro could be worth it. But again, like, if you're gonna be paying a premium for a product, I would expect it to be like noticeably better in a lot of different ways and not just like marginally better with some construction changes that don't necessarily impact performance to a huge degree. So now let's compare the Reign 3 to the Reign 4. So the first big difference between these models is once again the separate tongue construction in the Reign 4, whereas in the Reign 3 you have this booty style construction. The second difference is their upper. So we have that layered mesh with the haptic overlays over here in the Reign 3, and then in the Reign 4 we have that layered mesh once again that breathes really well. The third major difference between these shoes that I think is worth noting is that the midfoot and forefoot in the Reign 3 are a little bit more narrow than the Reign 4. So I don't know if you can tell in this video, but there is some more width to the Reign 4, which I think makes this shoe a better bet for a larger range of foot anatomies. The fourth difference is that the midsole construction in the Reign 3 isn't as thick as the Reign 4. So in the Reign 4, it does have a slightly blockier feel to it. It is a little bit thicker, and I think that's also what increases the weight of the Reign 4. And then the fifth and final difference between these shoes is that once again, the Reign 4 has a weight of 13.05 ounces, and the Reign 3 has a weight that sits around like 11.10 ounces. So that is a pretty big increase from the Reign 4 from the Reign 3, especially from the Reign 4 Pro, which is 13.7 ounces. That all being said though, I think both of these shoes are solid. If you have a narrower foot and you don't mind having a slightly slimmer build with your cross training shoe, then definitely look around at the 3s because they are on sale right now. You should find a pretty good deal on them. But if you do want a shoe with a bit more width to it, then the Reign 4 is a really good option to look into. All right guys, that wraps up my review of the Under Armour TriBase Reign 4. If you have any additional questions on this shoe, hit me in the comments below or reach out to me personally, whichever you prefer. And as always guys, drop a like on the video, drop subscribe to the channel. I will see you in the next one. Thank you.